Genesis 37, verses 1 through 11. Hear now the reading of God's holy word. Jacob settled in the land where his father had lived as an alien, the land of Canaan. This is the story of the family of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was shepherding the flock with his brothers. He was a helper to the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought a bad report of them to their father. Now Israel loved Joseph more than any other of his children, because he was the son of his old age. And he had made him a long robe with sleeves. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peaceably to him. Once Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him even more. He said to them, "Listen to this dream that I dreamed. There we were, binding sheaves in the field. Suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright. Then your sheaves gathered around it and bowed down to my sheaf." His brothers said to him, "Are you indeed to reign over us? Are you indeed to have dominion over us?" So they hated him even more because of his dreams and his words. He had another dream and told it to his brothers, saying, "Look, I've had another dream. The sun, the moon, and 11 stars were bowing down to me." But when he told it to his father and to his brothers, his father rebuked him and said to him, "What kind of dream is this that you've had? Shall we indeed come, I and your mother and your brothers, and bow to the ground before you?" So his brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the matter in mind. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Wow. Joseph the dreamer. Joseph was the youngest in the family at this point in his life, and he had, 11 older brothers. 11 older brothers. Anyone have older brothers? I don't, but I have older cousins who treated me like I was their little brother. And so the older brothers can sometimes be pretty dominating. In my experience with my cousins treating me as their younger brother, they like to pick on me a lot. Anybody have that experience? And they definitely would never agree to anything if I were to say, "You know what, someday you're going to bow down to me." I think that they would have put me in my place. Well, here's what happened. This is exactly what happened. Joseph was the youngest brother, and he did this exact thing. He had this dream, right? He had this dream that there was sheaves, and his sheaf was standing there, and all of his brother's sheaves were bowing down to it. And his brothers didn't like this idea. They said, "Do you mean to tell me that we're going to bow down to you? You've got to be kidding me, right? That is not going to happen. That is not going to happen." It's important for us to remember that earlier in this story that Joseph's brothers already didn't like him. Because Joseph's dad loved him more than them. Anybody ever had that experience before? Where you felt like a parent loved one of your siblings more than you? Yeah, there were times in my lives where I thought, man, they must love my sister more than me because she never gets in trouble and I always do. Later in my life, I realized it was just because I tested the waters more than she did. She learned from my mistakes. But I do have experiences where I could see within my own family that was definitely true, that one of the parents loved one of their children more than the others. And that's disheartening, isn't it, to think about? That's tough, especially if you weren't the child who was loved more. So we played a little bit of some favorites, and he even made Joseph this long robe with long sleeves. It was very fancy. That wasn't the custom back then, but it was very fancy. And he was showing Joseph just a little bit more honor than any of his older brothers. And that was not the custom. His older brother should have had a little bit more honor than him. But so here he was, and it seemed almost haughty or like he was bragging that he had this dream. He said, "Hey guys, check this out. This is the dream that I had. You're going to bow down to me someday. It's going to be awesome." And his older brothers didn't like that. Then he went on and he had another dream. And just like the first one, he felt like it was his duty to share it with his brothers, and this time bring his father into the mix. said, I had another dream. The sun and the moon and the 11 stars were bowing down to me. The sun and the moon, his mom, his father and his mother, and the 11 stars, his brothers, were bowing down to him. And immediately his father rebuked him. And he said, you're going to tell me that your mother and myself and your brothers are all going to bow down to you someday. He couldn't believe his words. He didn't understand what this dream meant. And he couldn't believe that he would dream something like this and then be willing to share it. So his brothers were jealous of him, but it's important to remember that his father kept the matter in mind. He kept it in mind. So maybe he thought that Joseph was just being full of himself because he was showed special favor, but he might have thought there might be something to this dream. I'm going to hang on to that and see what happens. I'm going to hang on to that and see what happens. I think that we've all had dreams before, right? We've all had dreams before. And not just when we're asleep dreams. Sometimes I'm thinking about dreams that, I don't know, when I was little I wanted to be an astronaut. Anyone have that experience before? They dreamed that one day they would be an astronaut. Or dream one day you would be a nurse. Or dream one day you would be fill in the blank. Think about that when you were a child. What did you want to be when you grew up? We all have dreams. I wonder if have we ever had the experience where we've had a dream in our lives and someone has stood before us and told us that will never happen. Has anyone ever told you that before? That you might want to do that, but it's never going to happen? It crushes you, doesn't it? It just crushes you. And to think that Joseph is having these dreams, and he knew, I believe that he knew in his heart that something big was going to happen in his life. And he wanted to tell his family, his loved ones, about this dream. And there they were, standing before him, telling him that's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Joseph is quite a dreamer. Quite a dreamer to think that one day that his family will bow down to him. It's quite a dream. I don't know that I've ever had that dream before. I have had dreams. I don't dream that often. Does anyone dream like all the time? Yeah. See, my wife has this experience. She dreams multiple dreams a night. Sometimes she wakes up and she can remember them like they're a full-color feature film, and like they're so vivid to her. And she wakes up, she tells me them, and sometimes I don't know what in the world is going on in her dream world. Okay, and other times it kind of makes sense a little bit, but most of the time it's just like out there. Okay, when I dream, I tend to dream about things that are happening in my life. It's strange to me because sometimes my dreams I even see happen to come true in the near future. And that's the only dreams I ever remember is when stuff like that happens. So there's different levels of dreaming. I totally believe that. And I think there's the dreams that are there to show us something that's going to happen in the future. And sometimes there's dreams that are just there to entertain us while we sleep, I think. And sometimes there's a whole dream book. Have you guys ever heard of the dream book? It's this book that goes through and will kind of analyze your dreams for you and tell you what it means when it goes on. And some of it you can believe if you want to, and some of it's like, really? I don't think so. But it's kind of interesting to look. You might check it out sometime, but especially if you have wild dreams like my wife. But it's kind of interesting. But Joseph didn't need someone to interpret his dreams, I don't believe. I think he knew in his heart of hearts what was happening, that God was speaking to him through his dreams. Has anyone ever had dreams? Have you ever had a dream where you felt like God was speaking to you through your dream? Yeah, I think that we've had dreams, maybe something like that God was really trying to show us something in our life through our dreams. Going back to the dreams that we had as children, I think that sometimes we might move past the I want to be an astronaut someday, and we might move past the I want to be a rock star someday. We might move past the I want to be an NFL player someday. We might move past those things. Maybe kind of realize what our gifts and our talents are as we get older. We start to dream about how we could put those to use in the best way. And that is our dream, to do those things. But sometimes I wonder, because I had to question this in my own life, I wonder that sometimes if our dreams are the same as God's dreams. I wonder if our dreams are the same as God's dreams. I wonder if we're allowing His dreams to enter our lives and become His dreams as well. Become His dreams as well. There was a point in my life, and I felt like I was really good at it, that I was involved in the retail business, and I worked for a few companies, and I always seemed to climb the ladder really quickly within those companies, and I loved the selling and the merchandising and the shipping, and I loved every aspect of it, and I felt like I was really good at managing people and putting them together and finding their good gifts and where they would best suit our company at. And I really loved it, and I just knew that this is where I was going to be for the rest of my life. I started to dream about managing my own store someday, and I started to realize that while I was really good at those things, that was not the dream that God had for me in my life. I started to realize that God had a bigger calling for me in my life, and that was in ministry. It was in ministry. And when I started to align my dreams with His dreams, I started to see them coming true. I started to see them coming true. I believe that God does speak to us through our dreams. And I think that we do need to question whether or not the dreams that we have for ourselves, are they the same as God's? Are they the same as God's dream that we have for ourselves? Some of us might know the answer right now, and it's yes. It's yes. I mean, definitely, for sure. Some of us might not know. Maybe we've never thought about that before, and that's okay. Let's think about it. Now, mind you, I'm not telling you to go into work tomorrow and quit. That's a bad idea. Let's pray about these dreams and make sure they align with God's and see what happens from there. See what happens from there. There's one line in here that Jacob, Joseph's father, says to him after he reveals his second dream. He says, "What kind of dream is it that you've had? What kind of dream is it that you've had?" So what are your dreams? What are your dreams in life? Do you still dream about what's going to be in the future? Do you still dream about what you'd like to do or what you'd like to have or what you'd like to be a part of? What are your dreams? These are the things that I'd like for us to think about over these next couple of weeks. And eventually I'd like us to share them with one another. I'd like for us to share our dreams with each other, because I believe that by sharing our dreams, we might have something revealed to us that we never even thought about. We might have something revealed to us that we might have never thought about. And as a matter of fact, and I've experienced this before, our dream might be the exact same as someone else's dream. And when we can bring those two dreamers together, something big is going to happen. Big is going to happen. So what I'd like for us to do over these next couple of weeks, and especially over this next week, is to just be thinking about and praying about what our dreams are. What your dreams are for yourself, maybe what your dreams are for your family, for your kids, for your grandkids, whatever it might be. And then for us to spend some time sharing those with one another. Jacob asked an important question. What kind of dream is it that you've had? If we can weave all these dreams together that we have for ourselves and for our kids and our grandkids, and maybe even this church and for this community that surrounds us and supports us and loves us, maybe we can begin to dream with God and dream together.